Yo, what's good? My name is Reginald, the R-Star, aka Mr. Straight Fire, and this is Unabashed Reggie's breakdown analysis of Eminem's verse on Cordae's Parables remix. Before we start, if you're new to my channel, what I do is I do lyrical breakdown of rap songs, rap verses, mostly Eminem, as you can see if you look at all my videos, but I've done interviews with Royce the 5'9", and also with Tommy Costa Jr., who is the one behind The Real Slim Shady, the producer behind The Real Slim Shady, along with Dr. Dre, of course, but he came up with the melody. And also, lately I've been doing ranking of Eminem songs for each of his albums, so go check that out. It's a very fun process. And now, on to Parables Remix. Parables Remix was released on January 14th, 2022 on Cordae's album From a Bird's Eye View. It was produced by Kid Culture, Cordae, and Nami. And the original, The Parables, was released in November 2020 and was actually supposed to be the second single off this album, but actually did not end up making the cut, and instead we have the remix with Marshall Mathers. Like the title of the video says, I'm gonna break down Eminem's verse, so I'm not gonna talk about Cordae's verse, but Cordae is a pretty dope rapper, and every time I hear him, I realize that I need to get more into him. So I haven't listened to the album yet as of this recording, but I will do so because he's dope, and I've seen interviews of the guy, and he seems like a really smart kid, only 24, but man, wise beyond his age. Now let me talk a little bit about Eminem's verse. In this verse, he brags about his skills, but also talks about his struggles back in the days before he was Slim Shady, before he was Eminem the megastar. Now the verse, what do I think about it? What do I think of it? I think it's a dope verse. It's a flow that we're getting used to, but sometimes it fits better than others, and with this beat, I think it fits really well. Although, if you know me, I'm not a big fan of when he does the really fast rapping, like what he did at the end of the verse, but at least he was not just doing gibberish. He actually was saying something, as you can see when I break it down. But now I will simply have all the lyrics already highlighted, and I'll recite them and talk about them and break them down. But if you want to see the video, a rhyming video, go check out Spit Ed on YouTube. He's one of the best at it. And plus, if you follow his channel, you will get to know new artists, underground artists that are not really well known, but are dope with the rhymes. And now, with that said, oh, actually, are you wondering what my t-shirt is? My shirt is head of the table, Roman Reigns. Yes, I'm a WWE fan, Roman Reigns fans. And now let's get on with the breakdown. I done seen some shit within my lifetime. At one time, I can still remember just how bad I used to want 5 mics. My biggest dream was just to make it into the unsigned hype. It's so hard for me to fathom. This was once my life. Now, the famous 5 mics. The 5 mics is a reference to the Source rating, which at the time, back in the days, like the 90s and the early 2000s, 5 mic was the highest praise you could get when you released an album. And Eminem talked about it, and Say What You Say on the Eminem show. 5 mics in the Source and holding my fucking breath. And then on the Sauce, when he started a beef with Benzino, he said, like, when the mic used to mean something, a 4 was like you were the shit, now it's like the least you get. So the mic was always something in his head, and here he talks about how it was so important to him. Unsigned Hype was a column in the Source magazine to promote unsigned artists, and in March 1998, Eminem was a featured artist, fresh off the Slim Shady EP. And fun fact, the person who wrote that article is Riggs Morales, who later would work on with Goliath Artists, which is Eminem's manager Paul Rosenberg's management company, and then Shady Record as the head talent scout. Shit'll make you want to cop out a plea deal, so I treat a beat like it's Tekashi, spit on that bitch like Meek Mill. Here, Eminem makes a reference to the beef between Tekashi 6ix9ine and Meek Mill, but before that, when he says cop out like a plea deal, that's a reference to Tekashi actually snitching and cooperating with the law because he did the crime but couldn't do the time. And the issue, what happened between Meek Mill and Tekashi, is that there was an altercation between the two in February 2021 where Meek allegedly spat on Tekashi. So when he's saying he treated the beat like Tekashi, so he spit on that, like spitting, like rapping. And it's not the first time that Eminem throws a shot at Tekashi. Remember in Zeus, she says I am trash, but she listens to Tekashi. My addiction got me weak-willed. I'm relapsing. I think I can't seem to stop eating beat pills, and Dr. DRE still keeps on giving me refills. Here we have a reference to relapse and relapse refills. So that's why he says I'm relapsing, and then he talks about Dr. Dre giving him refills. And when he says beat pills, that's a reference to Dr. Dre's Beats company that actually produces speakers, and those speakers that you see on the screen are called beat pills. So Eminem is making a reference to those speakers and his actual addiction to pills. Send them at me, all bullets hit indiscriminately, women and men and little kids, senior citizen, till the cig is empty. Cig is a reference to Sig Sauer, which is a brand of firearms, and in Greatest, he actually mentioned that brand as well. And once again, it's Eminem making a comparison with his mouth is rapping to a weapon, to a gun. Whip Gen Z into a frenzy, but no give is in me. I'm stingy, and that is the motherfucking difference between them and me. Gen Z is the generations of babies born in the mid-90s to early 2010s. And I don't know if you remember, but on TikTok, you had a lot of Gen Zs that were trying to cancel Eminem over his past lyrics because they were homophobic and misogynist and everything. Yes, they probably were, but it didn't matter because Eminem is so powerful that you can't just cancel him. And at the time, it was a different time, and Eminem is aware of that. Like he's not still saying the same thing he was saying before because the early 2000s were different. Stingy means being cheap or ungenerous. So why no give is in me? Because he doesn't give a fuck. And also, when something has no give, it means it's really hard and it won't bend. So he's saying that he won't bend or budge to Gen Z. And that's the reason I'm in my Louis Vuitton, gorier than Eva Long. This rap shit is something that you'll never see me at, like senior prom. Louis Vuitton is a luxury brand that is well known for their bag. So what M is saying, he's in his bag. To be in your bag means that you're in your comfort zone, that you're the best at what you're doing at the moment. And when he says gorier than Eva Long, that's a reference to the American actress Eva Longoria, best known for her role in Desperate Housewife. And gory means bloody, so like a serial killer, like all that shit from Relapse. Then when he says they'll never see me, it comes from the expression you can't see me, meaning that you're just not on the level. So rappers will never be as good as M. And the reason why Eminem will never be seen at a senior prom, which is the celebration for high schoolers, is because he didn't graduate from Lincoln High School. What I mean is the bars higher than Cheech and Chong when you give them each a bong. Cheech and Chong is a comedy duo who found success in the 70s and 80s, and they are famous for their love of the ganja, that would be weed. So M is saying that when he raps, he sets the bar higher than them. Sheesh. And Chong. I call my stanza fan club because whoever it's unleashed upon fucking beats upon like police baton. Eminem does two wordplays around stans. First, a group of fans of an artist or any property is called a fan club. And a club is also a synonym to a baton or a nightstick, which is a weapon used by police. When M gets criticized, his stance is fan club, just attack the critic and assault them like the police would do with their baton. Now, the second wordplay is a homophone with stanza and stanza. In poetry, a stanza is a group of lines. In other words, it's a verse. Therefore, Eminem is saying that when he writes a verse, when he unleashes his verse on his competition, rappers feel like they're being assaulted with the same force, same brutality as police with their baton. Y'all window shoppers, bunch of peeping toms. Now, I gotta admit, this line, I have to dig a little bit, so this is only my interpretation. Window shopping is when you look at a store window without buying anything. And it's also a reference to 50 Cent's song called Window Shopper, featuring Mace. A peeping Tom is a creep, is a voyeur, someone who likes to watch other people having sex. So this is my interpretation. Peeping Toms, first of all, I think he used the word because it fits with the rhyming pattern with police baton, peeping Tom, and then each a bong, Cheech and Chong, and so on. But what he's saying is that rappers like to look at what he's doing from outside, not getting involved because they know that if they do, they will get messed up, but they still like to see what's happening and who Eminem is fucking with. So I got that bullseye on my back, red dot on my head, yeah, blood on my hands for some of the rhymes that I've said. Police squad on the task, got him hot on my trail, like my stepfather with the belt, I got SWAT on my ass. But having blood on your hands is when you have casualties, you have victim to something you have done. So he's probably talking about all the careers that he's affected or the people he's insulted and that he's hurt. Here we have a reference to the song Stepdad, where Eminem rapped about how his stepdad used to beat up on him. And notice the homophone here with SWAT and SWAT. The special weapons and tactics, the squad, you know, that you see with the shield and everything. And SWAT actually means getting hit. So that's what he's saying. I got SWAT on my ass because his stepfather used to swat him on his ass. And the SWAT goes with police squad, just the line before. I was painfully shy, now I'm proud of myself. Like Obama's kids, I came out of my shell, and I can promise this on my mama. Shit, no, my daughter's bitch. Dope line and great use of homophone. I think that's one of the lines that people like the most here. The homophone here is with out of my shell, and Michelle, which is a reference to Michelle Obama's name. And that's the reason why he says Obama's kid. And coming out of your shell is, well, when you're really shy and then you decide to become extroverted. So that's what he did. He came out of a shell, became a rapper, this megastar. That was a dope line. And Obama's kids, Malia and Sasha. With that said, I gotta say, I think I would have preferred if he actually name dropped their name, Malia and Sasha, so that way the wordplay would have been a little bit more subtle. But he did follow it with some nice rhyming, with, you know, Obama's kids, promise this, mama's shit, daughter's bitch. I mean, look, he's the pro. I'm only giving my opinion, but he's the pro. Still, dope ass line. On my mama is a slang to say that you swear on your mother's life about whatever you're about to do, but given his bad relationship with his mother, he says on my daughters instead, so I thought it was a really nice touch. Then now at this moment, that's when he goes into the super speed part that I said at the beginning that I'm not a really fan of, but I did like what he was saying, because this time, you know, it's not like Godzilla, the end of Godzilla, when he's just spitting a bunch of stuff that are kind of sound like gibberish here, like, you know, there's actually some metaphor and stuff, so let's check it out. That every single word will be true, so without further ado, it's Return of the Ruthless, more murderous than Mook is, so what you're gonna do is think I'm allergic when I point this motherfucking burner at you. Here we have a shout out to Murder Mook. Murder Mook is an American rapper from Harlem, New York, most well known for his battle rapping abilities, and some would say he's a legendary battle rapper, and that's why Eminem shows him a lot of respect. Plus, lately, in the past few years, Mook has been given a lot of praise to Eminem and defending his skills and his position in the culture. Here we have another homophone when he says burner at you or at you. It's a homophone with the sound you make when you sneeze, at you. That's why he's saying you'll think he's allergic. And a burner is simply a slang for a gun. I throw shade, it'll be curtains for you. Pray for the verse to get through. Birth of a new worse of me who's determined to do. Throwing shades is a slang that means to say bad thing about someone either subtly or not. But M plays on the word shades, which is what you have on your window to block the sunlight, right? But he says that his insult is will be so crazy that it won't feel like a small shade, but an actual big ass curtain. Permanent damage with the words that I threw, bird's eye view. I'm referred to as Zeus circling you like I'm a vulture. Features or tournaments, I turn them into. Turning me loose is like verbal abuse, language hurtful to use, cursing at you. Made a couple mistakes that occurred in my youth. Jumped a hurdle or two, word, but I'm through. With bird's eye view, I'm referred to as Zeus. Obviously, that's a reference to the song Zeus off Music to Be Murdered By, side B. A vulture is a bird of prey. Those birds, they just circle in the sky, you know, and they wait and they look at their prey, and then when it's time, they just attack. Plus, he's saying that when he jumps on a song and does a feature, it automatically becomes a tournament because it turns into competition. And I love what he did here with tournaments and tournament 2. It was a nice little play on word. Now with this part, you know, he slows down the pace once again and he raps in a more calm way, which I love, and the beat changes as well, so it's all great. Nice way to end the verse. And he gets more personal too. I'm through with telling you about the food stamps and the government cheese, and now we used to get school lunches for free. Already told you about the holes in my pony shoes and rustler jeans when it was mother, little brother, and me. Throughout the years, we've heard Eminem talk about relying on food stamps to survive, like those goddamn food stamps don't buy diapers. And government cheese, well, they were processed cheese that was produced and sold by the government to people, to family on welfare. When he says he already told us about having holes in his pony shoes, I think it's a reference to the fact that he rapped about in the past, like in A Rose, that Proof gave him new Nikes because he saw how bad and messed up his shoes were. Of course, Little Brother and Me, that's a reference to Nathan Mathers, is half brother. Now, final lines. I told you about being kicked out 20 degrees, no money to eat. That's a reference to what he rapped about in Headlights when he says, you're kicking me out, it's 15 degrees, it's Christmas Eve, little prick, just leave. When his mom actually kicked him out when it was so cold, but before he said 15 degrees, now it's 20 degrees. About the thrift stores and being piss poor, the Christmases Ma had gifts for us. I love the rhyming here. Thrift stores, piss poor, and gifts for us. When Brew and me discovered that she was wrapping shit up around the house to stick it under the tree. Damn indeed. Here's what he's talking here. That they were so poor that his mother, instead of buying actual gifts, wrapping them up and putting under the tree, just to make it look like there was actual gifts, she would take things in the house they already had and she would wrap them and put them under the tree. That is sad. When I hear thrift stores, the first thing that comes to mind, not Michael Moore, but in 8 Mile, the 8 Mile song, when Eminem rapped, well, although it was B Rabbit, but it probably happened to him in his real life, when he said, at the Salvation Army trying to salvage an outfit, you know? So it's kind of the same thing. So here he's just saying that, hey, I already told you how poor I was, but he just says it again, but with different rhymes, different words. All in all, I love what he did here. I love how he ended the verse, you know, we slowed it down, like I said, and he goes back into personal stuff. And he's like, hey, I already told you that, but he tells it in a little different way. Dope verse. That's it, folks. That was my breakdown analysis of Eminem's verse on Cordae's Parable remix. So let me know in the comments below, what did I miss? What was your favorite lines? And until my next video, this has been Unabashedly Reggie. Thanks. It's been real.